Samuel Bodwin. The MPC is headed by former ExxonMobil CEO Lee Raymond, who is also the chair of the study. In the actual speech, the quote NPC rep, unquote, announced that current US and Canadian energy policies, notably the massive carbon-intensive exploitation of Alberta's oil sands and the development of liquid coal, are increasing the chances of huge global calamities. But he reassured the audience that in the worst-case scenario, the oil industry could keep fuel flowing by transforming the billions of people who die into oil. Quote from his speech, "We need something like whales, but infinitely more abundant," said MPC rep Shepard Wolf, actually Andy Bickelbaum of the Yes Men, before describing the technology used to render human flesh into a new Exxon oil product called Vivolium. 3D animations of the process brought it to life, and that's what you can see in the bottom slide, is the animated presentation. Vivolium works, as he spoke, in perfect synergy with the continued expansion of fossil fuel production. Noted Exxon rep Florian Ossenberg, really yes man Mike Bonanno, with more fossil fuels comes a greater chance of disaster. But that means more feedstock for Vivolium. Fuel will continue to flow for those of us left. The oilmen listened to the lecture with attention and then lit commemorative candles, supposedly made of Vivolium, obtained from the flesh of an Exxon janitor who died as the result of cleaning up a toxic spill. The audience only reacted when the janitor, in a video tribute, announced that he wished to be transformed into candles after his death. And this seemed to make things crystal clear. At that point, Simon Mellor, commercial and business development director for the company putting on the event, strode up and physically forced the Yes Men from the stage. As Mellor escorted Bonanno out the door, a dozen journalists surrounded Bickelbaum, who, still in character as Shepard Wolf, explained to them the rationale for Vivolium. "We've got to get ready. After all, fossil fuel development, like that of my company, is increasing the chances of catastrophic climate change, which could lead to massive calamities, causing migration and conflicts that would likely disable the pipelines and oil wells. Without oil, we could no longer produce or transport food, and most of humanity would starve. That would be a tragedy, but at least all those bodies could be turned into fuel for the rest of us." "We're not talking about killing anyone," added the NPC rep. "We're talking about using them after nature has done the hard work." After all, 150,000 people already die from climate change-related effects every year. That's only going to go up, maybe way, way up. Will it all go to waste? That would be cruel. Security guards then dragged Bickelbaum away from the reporters, and he and Bonanno were detained until Calgary police officers could arrive. The policemen determined that no major infractions had been committed and permitted the Yes Men to leave. If our idea of energy security is to increase the chances of climate calamity, we have a very funny sense of what security really is, Bonanno said. While ExxonMobil continues to post record profits, they use their money to persuade governments to do nothing about climate change. This is a crime against humanity. Putting the former Exxon CEO in charge of the NPC and soliciting his advice on our energy future is like putting the wolf in charge of the flock, said Shepard Wolf. Exxon has done more damage to the environment and to our chances of survival than any other company on Earth. Why should we let them determine our future? I'm going to play part of a video that's a BBC broadcast from another piece that they did that was about the calamity in Bhopal, India, a number of years ago.
Well, joining us live from Paris now is Jude Finistera, who is spokesman for Dow Chemicals, which took over Union Carbide. Good morning to you. A day of commemoration in Bhopal. Do you now accept responsibility for what happened?
Steve, yes. Today is a great day for all of us at Dow, and I think for millions of people around the world as well. It's 20 years since the disaster, and today I'm very, very happy to announce that for the first time, Dow is accepting full responsibility for the Bhopal catastrophe. We have a $12 billion plan to finally, at long last, fully compensate the victims, including the 120,000 who may need medical care for their entire lives, and to fully and swiftly remediate the Bhopal plant site. Now, when we acquired Union Carbide 3 years ago, we knew what we were getting, and it's worth $12 billion. $12 billion. We have resolved to liquidate Union Carbide, this nightmare for the world and this headache for Dow, and use the $12 billion to provide more than $500 per victim, which is all that they've seen, a maximum of just about $500 per victim. It is not plenty good for an Indian, as one of our spokespersons unfortunately said a couple of years ago. In fact, it pays for 1 year of medical care. We will adequately compensate the victims. Furthermore, we will perform a full and complete remediation of the Bhopal site, which, as you mentioned, has not been cleaned up. When Union Carbide abandoned the site 20 years ago, or 16 years ago, they left tons of toxic waste, which the site continues to be used as a playground by children. Water continues to be drunk from the groundwater underneath. It's a mess, Steve. And
it's a mess, certainly. Jude, that's good news that you have finally accepted responsibility.
Last but not least, I'd like to introduce the work of Jennifer Gonzalez, who is our moderator. Jennifer is as Associate Professor of Art in the History of Art and Visual Culture here at UC Santa Cruz. Her critical writings have appeared in numerous periodicals and journals, including Frieze, World Art, Diacritics, Inscriptions, Bomb, and Art Journal. She has contributed essays to anthologies such as The Cyborg Handbook, Race in Cyberspace, and With Other Eyes, looking at race and gender in visual culture. She was also the primary author of the Phaidon monograph on sound artist Christian Marclay. Her book, Subject to Display, that you see here, Reframing Race in Contemporary Installation Art, was recently published by the MIT Press. As a scholar, she is interested in understanding the strategic use of space by contemporary artists and by cultural institutions such as museums. More specifically, she has focused on the representation of the human body and its relation to discourses of race and gender in installation art, digital art, and virtual worlds. Several of her articles and book chapters focus on the cyborg body or the hybrid body as both symptoms of and metaphors for contested moments of cultural transformation. She is also interested in the many ways artists work actively and creatively to stage encounters between apparently incommensurate communities and how the human body figures in these encounters. Jennifer teaches courses on feminist theory and art production, semiotics, activist art, photography, museum studies, and installation art. In 2002, 2004, and 2007, she served as the Joanne Casulo Resident Teaching Fellow at the Whitney Museum of American Art Independent Study Program. And I'd just like to add that